now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. One of my newer viewers wanted some tips on writing. Now, I have been a writer ever since I was 9 years old, and I saw the comic books in my brother's comic collection, and I wanted to be able to make comic books, but since I couldn't draw, I decided to make pictures with words. And as I learned how to make pictures with words, this is what put me on the road to being a writer. And as someone who has been on this road ever since he was 9 years old, I can tell you this is a very rough road, and you've got to be able to have a resolve in order to go out here and be able to continue writing. Now, when it comes down to writing, again, this is not something that's going to make you a lot of money. I know this because I just released 3 books this year, and none of them are really selling that well. So my first piece of advice, like I gave another viewer in another requested video, is to just get yourself a day job and do not quit that day job whatsoever. No, you need a way to make a living, and since you do need this way to make a living in order to cover your bills, because these books ain't going to cover your bills whatsoever, or any writing whatsoever, it's not going to cover your bills, you need to go out here and make sure you get yourself a really nice day job and stay at that day job, and do not give into any sort of delusions or ideals of thinking of quitting to go do writing, because writing in and of itself is not a profitable venture, but it's something that people do out of their passion. A lot of writers like myself, we go out here and write out of our passion and our love to go out here and share stories with people, but that writing in and of itself, it's only going to be a side hustle. It's not going to be anything that really makes much money. So if you're writing because you love writing and you have a passion for writing. That's what you're going to be doing this for. But for everything out here, I'm going to tell you, just again, do not quit your day job. Do not quit your day job at all. No, you go out here and you work that job, and you go out here and work that job, and as related to making sure that your bill's paid, because you've got to put yourself first. And as a writer, you've got to put not only your physical health first, but your mental health as well, because again, this writing thing it's a creative outlet, but you have to put your needs first. So again, that's why I say do not quit your day job. Now, when it comes down to again having that day job, it will be a lot of long hours, and you might feel like, oh, I'll never find that time to write. But sometimes you just have to make that time to write. That'll be the major challenge of being a writer, is finding that time to go out here and write. Find that time to go out here and write as you're working that day job. Now, that's going to mean that you're going to have to make a sacrifice as related to your time. I mean, there are things that you're going to want to do, like go out and hang out with your friends, or go out and date girls. I mean, but the whole thing is, if you want to write, you may have to sacrifice some time. You might have to sacrifice maybe 1, 2, or 3 hours a day. But the whole thing is, if you're really passionate about writing, you'll be able to find that time, and find that time to go out here and write every day. That's something that you have to do, is basically try to write every day. That's something that I have been doing for the last, I say, about 25 years. I always find time to go out here and write at least maybe 2-3 hours a day. Sometimes I'm working on back in the day, I used to work on blogs. Some days I would work on a chapter of a novel a day, whether it be a fiction story or a nonfiction story. I would always find some time to go out here and write. And as you find time to go out here and write, again, this is going to help you sharpen your skills as a writer in making sure that you, again, are able to be able to maintain sentence structure and maintain your style as related to being a writer, and finding your voice as a writer. And what will help you along in that journey of being a writer is you have to go out here and do a lot of reading. And that's what I do all the time. I'm usually, again, reading everything, whether it be different websites and articles for different books that I've done in nonfiction, like The Man Crisis and The Woman Crisis, or even for fiction books like books like Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, or books like The Thetas, I would sit there and again do a lot of reading. I would do a lot of reading and again do this reading not only just because I needed to learn more about this subject, but I also read because it helps me to continue to learn how to maintain sentence structure and learn how different styles of prose flow. And that helped me, again, as related to my craft as a writer. And I also read books on writing like Sid Field's screenplay, Robert McKee's story, and Strunk and White's I think it's The Elements of Style. I'm always reading all the time. And I read, again, because reading helps you to become a better writer. And again, there are different books, again, that will show you, again, different techniques. Like, again, Sid Field's screenplay and Robert McKee's story. Sid Field's screenplay basically helped me to, again, be able to make stories that basically that moved at a faster pace. And Robert McKee's story helped me to learn how to develop stories. And what I did was learn how to use techniques from screenwriting to basically improve my craft as a novelist and nonfiction writer. Because screenwriting, basically, you learn how to write a story with a smaller economy of words. So basically, your paragraphs get smaller and your dialogue basically moves the story in a character-driven model. Now, again, this is what I learned from reading. And another thing I want the viewer to understand is not only do you keep your day job, and as you're finding time to write, you also have to find time to not only read, but you also, when you're writing, need to do research. You need to do research as related to things in order to make sure that your story, if you're writing fiction, can come alive. One of the things that makes a story come to life is a writer writing what they know, or in some cases, what they learn. I mean, recently on my recent book, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, I had to do a lot of research to make that story come to life, to take you back to the world of the year 2000, a time of hope and optimism. And I also had to do research on Burbank, California, and the area of Burbank, California, because a good chunk of the story takes place in Burbank. Now, I live in the South Bronx, but I wanted to make Burbank feel like what people say it is, because Burbank is the business area of Hollywood. So I wanted basically to take you to that world of the business area of Hollywood. And I also had to do research on things like goth modeling, and that's where I watched a lot of YouTube videos from people like Madame Absinthe and others like Of Herbs and Altars and Angela Benedict and Vessel of Blood. Again, watched a lot of different videos of people with their experiences as related to different aspects of things. And as I was doing research on other things like bikini contests, which are a big thing in LA, again, this is how a lot of aspiring models and actresses get their first jobs. They pose in bikini contests. So I had to watch a lot of different videos on bikini contests and, again, get those details right. And again, the more details you add, the more it opens up the person's imagination as they're reading the story. As they read the story, their imaginations open up. And again, when you're reading, again, and you're doing your research, you can find the vocabulary to basically make that story come alive and feel like a movie in the reader's imagination. So there's a lot that goes into writing, again, but the whole thing is you have to, again, put in that work in order to make your writing work. And again, the way you improve is going to take time. It took time for me to be the writer that I am now. I mean, I remember back in the 90s when I first started writing, my writing really, it was something that I did out of emotion. And again, I had reasons and stuff, but it wasn't as good as it is right now. I mean, today I've had viewers tell me that, again, they've seen my writing style evolve. And again, the way your writing style evolves is that the more that you learn, the more that you experience, the more your details in your story are going to come clearer. And the more they become clearer, the more easier it is for the reader to imagine themselves in the world you're creating. And again, you have to keep, again, doing reading and doing writing. Again, writing is something you're going to do every day, because it's like a muscle. It'll get weak if you don't keep working it out to maintain it. I mean, you have to keep working as related to that muscle in keeping that muscle strong. And when you're a writer, again, you just have to, again, be able to just keep finding that time to go out here and do some writing every day. Again, doing that writing every day, in addition to reading and researching. I mean, when you're a writer, again, you have to spend that time. Again, even though you have other things to do. Now, I make videos every day, and that's basically what I do these days, because this just, again, I haven't had a full-time job in years, and this is how I do things. But the whole thing is, as I'm out here, I just go out here and I find that time to write, whether it be me writing a story or me writing an outline. Again, I'm always writing, but this, again, you're doing this because you're passionate about it, because if you come into this thinking you're going to make money, no, not much money to be made in this business, because, again, the people who make money in writing are the exception and not the rule. And the people who do get published, they really don't make a lot of money. Usually what you get is possibly a $5,000 advance if you can get your book done at a publishing house. And basically that book will be gone in about 6 months to a year. So you don't do this for any money. No, you do it because you love doing it. And again, that's one of the reasons why I go out here and put my own money on my own SJS Direct imprint, is because I wanted to go out here and create positive stories about the Black experience. I wanted to show people a richer picture of Black life in my stories. I wanted to go out here and, again, just go out and write positive stories about the Black experience and show people the larger world that I experienced as related to Black people, and not just have people's minds in the hood and think the only place that Black people live is the hood and the streets. That's one of the things I was passionate about. And as I learned about different aspects of Black life and different cultures in Black life, like the Black Goth subculture or Black people in business, again, this is what I was passionate about sharing with people, and things like, again, the foundations of sororities, and even with the vampire novel Eternal Night. And that's another thing I want the viewer to understand. Don't be afraid to take on new challenges as related to writing, because, yeah, you might be able to, again, start out with writing one thing like fiction or out here, or writing articles, but don't ever be afraid to take on a challenge. That's something that I always did as related to things. I started out, again, with a John Haynes character in a story called The Changing Soul, which I'm never going to publish because it was just complete garbage. And everybody's first book is going to be complete garbage because you're just learning. But I did the Isis character because I wanted to do a heroine based on the Egyptian and Nubian gods. And then from there, I started taking more risks. And then I did a story about two Black-owned businesses called the Cassandra Cookbook. I had to retitle it as A Recipe for Success. And then in 2005, I wrote The Temptation of John Haynes. I was always looking to take on new challenges. And as I went out here and started, again, I started going into screenplays because people said my writing reminded them of screenplays. It felt like a movie in their imagination. I decided to write my first screenplay all about Marilyn. Then I wrote the companion book all about Nikki. Then I went on and then finally started, again, doing the ISIS series books, and then went on, and because one of my best-selling author friends, she told me that my blogs basically were like a book, so I said, okay, I'll do a nonfiction book, and that's where, again, I took on more challenges. Don't ever be afraid to take on challenges as related to learning different styles of writing and different approaches to writing, because that's going to help you become more confident as related to your skills, and it's also going to help you develop your craft, because right now, I know how to write fiction. I know how to write serialized fiction like the Isis, Esteem, and John Haynes books. I know how to write a series of books like the Spinsterella books. I know how to write nonfiction books like Stop Simpin' and The Man Crisis. And I even know how to write screenplays, television plays, and comic books. I mean, don't ever be afraid to come out of your comfort zone, because coming out of your comfort zone, this is going to help you grow in your craft. It's going to help you grow in your craft as a writer. It's going to help you further develop your skills. It's going to help you further grow as related to your skills as a writer. So writing, again, it's a lot of work, and again, you're going to have a lot of hours in front of a these days a computer screen. I remember when my father bought me this Brother Word processor. It had a pea green screen, and it basically, again, ran on these floppy disks. I mean, I don't know if you young people have ever seen a floppy disk, but I would go out here and I would sit in front of that pea green screen and basically I would go out here and write. I started writing essays, but then I started writing the John Haynes short stories, and then I just kept on writing. Now, I wrote for myself, and I wrote because I wanted to just, again, it was just something to do rather than just sit in the house all day. I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, and I would just sit there and write. And I sat there and wrote, and again, I wrote again the first John Haynes story, and I wrote the first ISIS on that pea green screen. Then as I went to America, I finally, after the end of my term, I got an old Dell Inspiron laptop, and on that I wrote the Cassandra Cookbook and the Temptation of John Haynes, and again, just wrote and just kept writing every day. And again, that's what you have to do, because it's going to be a rough road. I mean, I remember in 2007 to 2008 when my Dell laptop died, I had no computer for an entire year, and I went out here writing on loose leaf paper, just trying to revise a story based on the $60 a month a family member was giving me. I just kept on writing, and I was writing even when I lost my job. That's when I started the SJS Direct Imprint. Again, looking to get those 3 books that I had written. I wanted to get them published. I was just gonna work at that job, but the whole thing is everything just fell apart. But God told me to keep going, and I'm trying to keep going at this point. Even right now, still trying to keep going. Even though the book sales aren't there and the AdSense dollars ain't really coming in. And again, still trying to continue to go on as related to things. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Even with me having anxiety issues like chest pains and stuff like that, still trying to go on. But I want the viewer to understand, again, you're going to have a lot of perseverance and a resolve to continue to go on in this writing thing. I mean, you're going to have perseverance and a resolve to continue going on out here. I mean, this is not a thing that you're going to go into as related to being easy. No, you're going to have nights where you get frustrated. You're going to get nights where you're going to get stuck because your brain is trying to process all of the ideas that you're trying to put on the paper. I mean, you're trying to put all these, like sometimes I have a lot of ideas that I want to put on paper, and again, you're trying to get all of it done, but the whole thing is that your brain basically cannot process it all. You can even put your fingers to the keyboard to process it all, and it takes time to, again, be a writer. It takes a lot of time to go out here and write, and a lot of people don't understand how much work goes into writing, but I want the viewer to understand, again, this is something that you're going to have to do in order to, again, develop your skills. I mean, this goes beyond writing classes. I mean, I never took a writing class outside of the English classes I took in college and high school. But most of it is me, again, reading, doing the research, and again, writing every day. That's what will help you to become a better writer. And again, most importantly, as related to things, don't get your head in the clouds as related to, again, best-selling author and stuff like that. No, write for your passion, write for what you love, because this is not going to make a lot of money. No, keep your day job, keep making that money, stacking that bread, keep making that money at that job. Do not ever quit that job, because you will need to, again, this thing ain't going to pay off. I'm telling you right now from my own experience. I mean, you can sell thousands of books, but it ain't going to be able to maintain you at all. No, what you got, if you want to do this, again, do this on the side, do this as your passion, do this on the side as related to your passion, and again, just tell your stories. And if people want to read your stories, they'll read your stories. But this writing thing, again, you do it for you, and just don't think to do this to make money. No, this is something that you're doing for you and doing for your love of storytelling, or doing for your love of writing. This is what you're doing this for. You want to do this because you love it, and the only reason why you're doing this is because you want to share your stories with the world. That's what I wanted to do back when I was 9 years old, when I was writing Mayor Fox stories, and eventually I came back to writing after I stopped in about 1987. That's a whole nother video I want to get into, where I just stopped for a while, and I just stopped because of stuff going on. But in 1990 I came back, and I have been doing this again ever since about 1990, and I've been continuing to write and learning more and more about the craft of writing, and I want to, again, continue to share more about this craft because it's a craft, and again, you learn, again, on the way, and people will show you what you need along the way. I mean, that's what I do the comic review videos for, to show how different techniques work and how different ways of telling stories work. And that's what I try to do. Again, a lot of this is stuff that I was self-taught. And again, I'm hoping that the viewer can get some understanding from what I'm trying to teach them about writing in this video. Now, I've got other videos on writing, and you could possibly find them by, again, typing in Shawn James Writing, or heading over to my blog, Shawn James Black Freelance Writer, or picking up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint. I mean, I have different ways of showing you how to be a better writer and to learn more about writing. And you can learn more about them by, again, finding the videos on this channel, or basically, again, checking out my blog. That's how you can find all of that out. Now, this viewer wanted to request the video, and again, if you want to request the video, you can drop a donation for a minimum of $15 to the PayPal or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box, and you can pick up my books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks in a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business at paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes, 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.